How much are your closing costs? What a great question. We get the question all the time on just about every loan that we close. So how much are closing costs? In the state of Colorado, which is where we are located, the average closing cost is $3,750. But it's important to understand where those numbers are coming from. That $3,750 is going to cover things like your title fees, your county recording fees, your transfer taxes, your appraisals. It doesn't cover items such as insurance. It doesn't cover items such as buying the rate down to get a lower interest rate. These are just basic closing costs that you're going to have pretty much on every loan. So when you talk to the bank and say how much are closing costs, understand that at the end of the day, no matter what's quoted, you're probably going to be really close to about that $3,750. But there's a couple other items that you need to understand. You also need to set up an escrow account, and this is going to be generally about 14 months of insurance and 4 months or so of taxes. So depending on the house price that you have and how much your insurance costs, you can tack that on. So let's say you're buying a house and your insurance policy is, say, $4,000, and we need to collect that $4,000. You're going to add that to that $3,750. So talk to your loan officer and see how much your insurance and taxes are. Now, the good news here is you actually get to control your insurance. You get to pick the agent and the policy that you want to help kind of control, what the total premium is going to be. Another factor, two other really important factors here. One of them is going to be what day of the month that you close. So if you close the last day of the month, you're actually going to get charged generally 1 day of interest to close your loan. If you close at the beginning of the month or the middle of the month, you're going to be charged several weeks of interest. That could really increase the amount of money that you need to bring to get to closing. The other important factor here, what do you actually have to pay before closing versus at closing? The only real amount that you need to pay that's required for your loan before closing is going to be your appraisal. Depending on where you're at, plan on $700 to $1,000, depending on, again, what type of appraisal and where you're at within the state. So plan on paying that out as a requirement, and then the rest of it can be brought in at closing. And again, another cool note, your earnest money can be applied towards those costs. So that answers the question, how much are my closing costs? And make sure to get with your loan officer to get a very specific detailed breakdown of what yours are going to look like. And remember, that closing disclosure, you're going to get that by federal law. You have to get that at least 3 days before closing, so you have time to review that. Give us a call here at 719 Lending if you have any questions.